everything goes black. Like I turned the computer back on and every project file was corrupted. And I'm sitting there like shitting my pants. It's like an hour and a half long at this point. And I was like, bro, like I had my friend Dante sitting to the right of me. I'm like looking up, like, bro, Kels is gonna kill me, dog. Like I think I just lost everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 505 podcast. On today's episode, we welcome Sam Cahill. Sam is a photographer, filmmaker, and director who was recently nominated by iHeartRadio for Favorite Tour Photographer. In 2022, Machine Gun Kelly's Hulu documentary, Life in Pink, was released, which Sam not only shot and directed, but also edited. Everyone, please welcome the very talented Sam Cahill.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Welcome to the show, boy.
Let's go.
All right.
Okay, Sam, so you know how we start off our show. A one-handed crack off the table. That's all you got to know.
All right, boy. Let me get it close to the mic real quick.
Yep.
Oh, I like that.
Sam, the one rule of the pod. We got to run that back.
You got to go off the table.
Sam, it's got to be off the table.
Off the table.
It's okay.
Which makes it a little harder.
Yep.
Wow.
That was good.
Dude.
There it is.
Wow.
There it is. Okay,
With-
unfortunately, due to the NA on the first one, this was a great open.
That was a great
You would have
crack.
been in the 8s, but we're going to have to knock it down to a 6-1 just because of the replay. But, like, welcome to the show.
Honestly,
Let's
I
go.
kind of thought it was even more badass. He was like, oh, I fucked it up.
Give me your scope.
Didn't need to, dude. I didn't need auto-tune. I'm like T-Pain.
That was fire. Dude, how have you been? What have you been up to?
Good. We just got off a world tour, so we've been everywhere, like everywhere in the U.S., and then hopped over to Europe for a while. And then I just been editing a new documentary the last couple months.
Where in Europe did you guys hit?
We started in Cologne, Germany.
Oh, if you can move the mic just a little closer
dude.
to you.
That's where my girlfriend's from, or her family's from, Cologne.
She's from Cologne.
This is the cathedrals with the spiky. Yeah.
I want to get it tatted on my shin.
Yeah,
Really?
she does too. It's pretty cool.
But no, it was cool. We started in Cologne. We went to like Frankfurt, Germany, all over Germany. We got to hit Oktoberfest and get drunk off one beer.
Sick.
Like one beer would be equivalent to a 16 pack, like
Really?
a 24 pack.
Just super strong.
Bro, we went out there. All of us had one beer and came back like housed off. But it was like this big.
I went to Springfest when I was there studying abroad. And
Springfest, they just do like weed instead
it's
of
no. Springfest is Oktoberfest in the spring.
Yeah, it's just a joke.
Okay. But it was so much fun. Like, it's a blast.
Yeah, and it goes for it's like a month long, I think.
Yeah,
all of
crazy.
October, prior to October, we pulled up there and it was going on like we went all around Germany and then came back for Munich show, and then that's when we went out. And
Did you wear the fit? Were you like fully in the fit?
Leader
No,
hosen?
but I saw the fits. And I saw the
Sick.
boots. I saw the straps. And motherfuckers were out
Not
there.
for you, though.
Crazy.
Not for you.
Not for me.
Do you get a lot of like free time when you're like in Europe? Do you get to be like, oh, sick, I get to hang out in the city at all? Or
Yeah, like on we'll have off days where there's
Yeah.
like not a show, and it's just like, I mean, a lot of the time I'm with Kels, like shooting him or like mobbing, getting lunch wherever we're headed to. We go shopping, but you know, whenever I get a free chance, like I'll just scratch the naps and go mob around the streets with a camera. And
Yeah.
I'm
shoot
big
some
on the
cool
naps,
shit.
and I hardly get any off days. And like this past weekend, I was in New York, and lobby call wasn't until 5 p.m. And I was like, that's as close to an off day as I'm gonna have. And like, my mom just happened to be in New York, so I was like, yeah, I met up with her, got to go shopping a little bit, got lunch, and I was like, this is really nice. If it was like this all the time, this is like much more manageable.
hell, where'd you get lunch?
Chelsea Market.
Oh, nice,
There it
dude.
is.
Yeah, it was fun.
When you were over in Europe, how long were you there for? How long was this tour for?
Probably like a week and some change.
Oh,
a month and some change.
Oh, a month.
Yeah,
I was
quick
like,
way.
damn, really
Quick world
fast.
tour.
Okay. How many arenas do you hit in that time?
Within the month, I think we did it was like 17 shows. So it's a lot of shows compared to like your days off and a lot of travel days. Like depends on where you're traveling to next, but some of them are like 20-hour drives. More so in the U.S., like the routing was all fucked up, but Europe was.
Yeah, Europe's a little easier to get from like country to country.
Yeah. Do you find like different audiences, different countries like go crazier for, you know, like when you're like, or like some like, damn, Frankfurt was nuts
Like
compared
fans?
to like, or like a different country even like
Yes.
Germans over like UK people.
I mean, I hate to say it, but like the Europe fans blow the U.S.
Really?
fans out of the
Oh,
water.
that doesn't
in
surprise
terms of
me.
like out of
Yeah,
show.
that makes sense. That makes
But
sense.
yeah, just like mosh pits left and right. Like every show is just crazy. Like I feel like people over there are just less invested in their phones and like taking Snapchats all the time and
Yeah.
like Instagram stories. So they're more like connected with the show.
Present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get any fan love? Do people know you as like his guy?
Yeah.
That's
Hell yeah.
Fans are
Yeah,
cool.
we saw one of the photos on your gram that was like paid double Sam's rate or something.
Oh
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
I need to. Yeah,
You
I
just
don't know their
planted that
names.
guy.
That
Yeah,
was
it was
the
like the
funniest
second
sign
one.
I ever saw. I
That's
agree.
dope.
Yeah.
That's sweet. So I want to talk to you. Like we got a chance to take a peek at your doc before you came over. So it was really amazing to just see like such a long body of work. Because personally, what I do is really short form stuff. Like really not more than a minute or maybe 2 minutes max.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to know a little bit about kind of your process to just kind of start off. Like when you get such a big piece of work, like you just went on a world tour and you're working on another documentary right now, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So with that, do you have a different game plan going into this next one than you did with the first one? Or you just kind of capturing everything and you get back home and you're like, let me see what we have, like what kind of story I can pull from this?
I mean, I was kind of on the same boat as you, like doing a lot of short form stuff for a long time. And I'd done like short docs or like short films with around like the 15-minute range. And I'm just grateful that I did that leading up to this documentary, because this was like my first ever feature-length doc. Like I hadn't done anything like it. And honestly, going into it, I knew what I had to do, but it was a great learning process for everything. And like, did I know the structure and like how to necessarily tell this story? Like it took a while to really assemble all the parts and pieces, but definitely going into the next one, I have a better grip on what to do, because like the first one, the one that you guys watched, Life in Pink, I really didn't know what I was doing going into it. And it was fun to like discover and just like learn a bunch of shit. And it's really just trial and error, like making sure stuff works. And you know, Kels is very creative and he's like hands-on with the edits too. So just, you know, being around him and he's like, oh, I think you should do this. Like, oh, I hate this side of my face. Like, use this angle. And it's just like a lot of stuff kind of comes too with him. And like, it's just cool to bounce back and forth.
Were there a lot of times where were you able to like start editing, working together, like piecing stuff, and then being like, oh, I need to get that shot. Like, I got to make sure I get that shot in the next show? Or is it like you have all the footage, then you put it all together in one?
Yeah. So again, on this doc, the whole process, like we didn't stop shooting until the last week of the edit. So like the whole time I'm continuously like shooting more interviews, and I'm like, oh, I haven't told this part of his story. Like I need to talk to this person. Or we would need like, there was one, it's called The Wall. It's like an interlude song on the album. I think it's on Tickets to My Downfall, but it's talking about the side of One Oak, and it's like all these celebrities' faces on the wall. And I just like random stuff. Like one day I'd just be like, oh, I'm gonna go to the wall and shoot this, and like on this camera, get a couple angles, bring the drone out and plug that into the film, you know? And so it was a lot of that, like up until the last week, like right before picture lock. And
Wow.
so
How long was the whole process of you like shooting and editing the whole film?
it was about 3.5 years of footage roughly.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Was
That
that
I
like,
shot-
was it organized?
Yeah,
like,
was it super overwhelming
What's
to
that
go through
string
that?
out
Luckily,
like?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
so many questions.
Mega string.
Yeah. But I mean, I just keep like a good organization to all my files, like date, time, where it's at, like everything is, you know, you could give it to anybody and they can kind of like digest it how they want, and it's all there and like categorized the right way. So luckily it was categorized, because if it wasn't, it would have been a fucking mess, bro.
Yeah.
Like but what else was your question?
So crazy. Like, dude, so you're used to like short form, like or at least coming from that. Was it daunting to be like, this premiere project is going to be an hour and a half to 2 hours? Like when you start, like
Were you on recovery project number 64?
yeah,
like, was
like
it crashing?
copy of
Yeah,
Life in Pink?
Exactly.
Crazy story. So like before we even had like, we knew where the film was going to go or like had a buyer for the film before it was going to Hulu or whatever. I was just editing it by myself in my bedroom, or I moved my studio from my bedroom to the kitchen table, and it was like this big, like a glass table in the middle of everything. And then my friend had 3 cats at the house. One of his friends brought a dog over, and the cats had never seen a dog, and I guess this dog had never seen cats before, and they just fucking started going crazy around the house, and like all of them got chased where all the cables were under the computer. And I had this whole server with like 68 terabytes of footage wired up to it, and they like ripped everything out. So everything goes black. Like I turned the computer back on, and every project file was corrupted. And I'm sitting there like shitting my pants. It's like an hour and a half long at this point. And I was like, bro, like I had my friend Dante sitting to the right of me. I'm like looking at him like, bro, Kels is gonna kill me, dog. Like I think I just lost everything. So bro, the only thing that saved it was I had made like 3 or 4 copies of the same project like the day before to the desktop, another drive. Like all the drives were boofed though. The only thing that worked was that one desktop file.
Shut
So I
up.
was like,
All
yeah,
the
it
drives
was-
are corrupted.
Yeah.
And
all
then
the project
Did
files.
the footage come back though? Like the footage was.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
so
that
just the
was good.
project files
But
were corrupted.
still.
That's
But it was
insane.
like you couldn't like go into Premiere and fix nothing. It's just like error loading this file. Like,
no way.
Sorry.
Oh my
Fuck that,
Wait,
dude.
did he ever like know about this, or did you open the desktop and like, oh, we're good? Everything. I don't even have to tell
know
him.
if he knows about it.
We won't tell him. Brady, you gotta watch out with
That
your
is-
dog, my friend.
I think that's like
Yeah,
every
seriously.
filmmaker's literally like worst nightmare.
Oh my God.
But think you gotta make copies.
Yeah, gotta make
gotta.
copies, 4 of them at least.
Backup
Yeah.
hard drives, all that stuff.
Yeah. Oh my.
How many terabytes worth of footage did you have?
For the whole documentary,
Yeah.
I think it was like around 74 terabytes.
Oh my God.
So it was a lot. Like,
That's insane.
yeah.
And so back, like you've been doing, we see you at the top of your game. You're working with MGK. You just had a Hulu documentary. Why did you even pick up one of these cameras in the first place?
Well, I grew up playing sports, and then I fucked up my foot really bad. So like I was always accustomed to skateboarding and playing baseball primarily. And then I tore my Achilles tendon and I couldn't walk for like 9 months. And I was just like in and out of physical therapy, like not doing shit, down in the dumps. And I was like, fuck. Like me and my friends had made skateboard edits, like montages leading up to that. So I'm like, I'm gonna just go crazy with the camera. Like I enjoyed it. So I picked it up, and I took one film class in high school. Shout out to Mr. Schaefer. But he was kind of like, whenever I didn't have baseball practice, I would come into the studio and capture cam the tapes that I would record our skate videos on. It was all on these mini DV tapes off a VX 2100 camera. And like I would be in there all the time, and the teacher's like, man, like no one comes in here ever. Like you're in here all the fucking time. Like you obviously care. And during school, like I gave a fuck about the projects, like whether it be some cheese ball video we had to do, like I just try to make it cool. I did all the little gun shooter videos, like all that shit. But luckily for him, like for me, he submitted me into like all these film festivals, and with that, like photography competitions. And I was getting all these like random awards in high school. So I was, aside from sports, I was like, this is kind of like, I fuck with this. Like I like doing this, so I had fun with it.
What a guy, dude, for doing that.
Yes.
I told you my high school video teachers fucking suck. That's it.
I feel like that's rare
Yeah.
to have someone who believes in you like that and
Yeah.
kind of shows you that you are able to do this and kind of like instills that confidence in you before maybe you even believe in yourself.
Yeah.
That's really dope.
Yeah.
After high school, are you like, oh, should I go to college? Is college even like a thought in your mind? You're like, fuck it, I'm gonna go full bore into this video photo thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like set on college, and honestly that was like a crazy transition for me because all through high school, like I had great grades, and my parents, or my dad specifically, like would push me to get good grades. And being on the sport teams, like you had to maintain a 3.2 GPA at least or whatever. And so I gave a fuck about school and like did my thing there. And then when it came time for like everyone was getting scholarships, like, oh, I'm going to LMU, I'm going to Wazoo, like I'm over here, I had nothing. I'm like, man, fuck, like I ain't doing shit with my life. Like, so I was about to join the army. Like I was about to sign myself up for the army and like go be a photographer in the field or something.
ROTC
like,
vids would have went nuts.
bro, I would have
Training.
Yeah, Sam just chefing up.
But I don't know. I ended up getting a couple scholarships to go to University of Colorado, and I went there for a whopping 9 months, like a single semester. And while I was there, I kind of got an opportunity from another artist, and he was just like, "Oh, let me fly you to New York and shoot this stuff with CNN and NBC with me." And I'm like, "All right." And so I'm over here talking to my professors, like, "Yo, this dude like wants to fly me out. Like, I know we got a test on Friday, but let me just do that shit online." And they're like, yeah, go do your thing. So I flew out there, and not knowing it, but like I did this one gig for him, and then I came back to school like 3 days later, did my thing, and then they hit me up again like, "Yo, we need you in Chicago." And then it became such a back and forth thing where I was like leaving school, and my professors were like, "Yo, you should just like sign up for online class because technically you can't do this in this setup." I'm like, "Well, fuck." And it became a thing with the artist I was working with, and he's like, man, you should just fucking drop out. Like everyone in the whole camp's like, drop out, Sam. And I'm like fucking 18 years old. I'm like,
Dude, you're pressure in the green room.
Yeah. But I ended up just, saying fuck it. And, I kind of had a plan, not really a plan, but just like a good lead, I guess. And like, I was learning more in that field, like hands-on, than I was all the prerequisite shit in film school.
So that was music that you were doing with the artist?
Yeah.
Were you, like, how did you get into the music scene?
Kind of random, but I made this, it was a 48-hour film festival in high school. We had made these videos within a span of 48 hours. Like, how it worked was, you would need like the contest would give you like a specific line of dialogue you needed to have in it. It could only be 3 minutes long. Like the theme of the video was summer or whatever. So everyone's videos in that like competition had all these same things, but it was like different derivatives of like what this video was supposed to be.
So it's almost like
crazy,
kind of like Master Chef.
Yeah.
You need to use this ingredient. What can you come up with? That's cool.
So it was interesting, but so all these videos, like all the videos we had made, got screened in this theater, and at the theater there were like a couple film heads and like producers and other people that were like looking for interns, like college kids that were looking for interns for their projects, and that's what I got. So like this dude that I went to high school with, his name's Adam MacArthur, had a buddy named Justin Chroma, who became my good friends, like, and they were like, oh yo, like we're doing this documentary on an artist named Goldlink at Sasquatch Music Festival out in Washington State. And they just needed like another cameraman, and they were like, who's the one that shot who shot this whole thing? And I was like, oh, me. They're like, you want to come to this project?
Dude,
I'm like,
sick.
fuck yeah, man. Like, so then I didn't really know any of them, and I was like 16 or 17, and I had to go out this whole weekend. And so I'm telling my mom like, yo, like I'm going out to this music festival with these dudes, and she's like, oh, okay, honey, go crazy. And
shout out mom, being supportive.
Shout out mom. But I didn't know anything going into the music business, so like it was kind of my first shooting my first concert, and I got to bop around to all these different stages and shoot a bunch of acts. And the artist that ended up taking me out of college, I met him there. So like I photographed his set at Sasquatch, and then I was in the media tent like editing his photos and shit. And he was behind, like I didn't know it, but he was behind me, like looking at me edit the photos of him. And he like taps me on the shoulder. He's like, hey bro, like that's dope, you should send it to me. I'm like,
dude, that's
say
sick.
less. Like so then that's how like he followed me on Instagram or whatever, then and there. And then fast forward 2-3 years, like that's where he hit me up in Colorado. I was like, yo, like come do this shit with me. Like,
were you working at Colorado? Like, did you kind of go to school and you were the creative guy there? You're like kind of shooting on the side, or really not working, just doing school?
I honestly had like 3 or 4 friends in college. I didn't really give a fuck to meet people at all. I wanted internships. Like I applied to all these internships, and I went to a couple of them, and it was like one of them would be at a church, and they needed me to like, I don't know, it's just like not for me, bro. So I like went in there. I'm like, yep, cool. Like see you later. Never reply to an email or a text message again. But the one thing I did like was the college had a newspaper called The Century, and they just had like a specific number of photographers that they would have, and we would kind of like pitch creative, like, oh, Ray Shremmerd has a show at the Fillmore in Denver coming up, like we should shoot that and put that, and like get the students to go to more concerts and stuff. And so I shot like Laney and Oh Wonder and a bunch of random acts and stuff, and they would put it on like the cover of the newspaper and shit, like while I was in school. So that was honestly the one thing that was kind of like fun to me while I was there, aside from the script writing class was the only other thing I really liked.
Were you able to shoot those shows because you were part of the newspaper?
I think I submitted like to work for them, and then I was like one of a few people that wanted to actually shoot photos. Like there was no creative people there, bro. It was all like, I don't know.
Where's it? You went to Boulder?
The Denver campus.
Oh, the Denver campus. Okay.
Where are you from originally?
Seattle, Washington.
Oh, nice. Okay. So
and then,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, when did you get out to LA?
Shortly after I dropped out of college, did that run with the artist for about a year. After that, I was in my mom's house for like probably 2-3 weeks, and then I just booked a flight to Bali when I was like 19.
Sure.
Flew out to Bali, just like trying to make a crazy travel banger. I'm like, man, let's go harvest. So I was out there for like 3 weeks. with a couple buddies I met off like Instagram, just like creative people, and went kind of just head down, like traveling to waterfalls and just like getting all these cool shots, and ended up spending like a month and a half on the edit, like for this 3-minute video or whatever, and it turned out cool. And this one travel video, like when I came out to LA next, like ended up getting me work for 2-3 years, like off one video.
Is it because I think we were watching it earlier, is it the one has like 1.3 million views?
I think so. Or it's the Bali video.
Yeah. That's insane.
That's sick,
wow.
Yeah.
So you just went there with no brands or anything. You just went for fun. You're like, we're just gonna make a heater.
Yeah.
Were you into the travel space at all? Because we deep dove on your YouTube. We went back 12 years.
Yeah.
Like, we went and watched like all kinds of old videos. So, I saw you were like doing some travel stuff. Even on your gram, it looked like you were like doing a lot of travel stuff. When did the shift of like, well, maybe I could make like the music stuff my full-time thing? Or was it like, oh, maybe I'll do travel for now? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would still love to do all the travel videos, and I try to, like, when I can. I wouldn't say I like made a full shift to music, but it's definitely like primarily what I do nowadays. So, but like, that's still part of me. I'd love to get out there and like just go fuck around for 2 weeks, hit some waterfalls with the boys, like send a couple backflips. But
that's part of you have to have that on your application to be a travel guy.
Yeah.
We can't do it because
backflip.
I'm not a backflip guy.
I got the prerequisites.
I was joking with Fran. I go, dude, literally in like 2015, 2016, I was like, I can't really be like a travel filmmaker unless I know how to backflip.
Yeah.
And like,
do you remember when I FaceTimed you in my grandma's house when I got it, dude? I was just FaceTime just ripping backflips on the beach for like an hour. I was like, Kostas, you gotta watch this again.
That's so
I
funny.
actually do remember that. Just like, dude, I got the backflip down. Damn,
I'm ready to go to Bali,
Go
dude.
book a trip. Yeah. That's so funny. Did you keep ripping more trips once you came back from Bali, or were you like, no, now I'm gonna
And
start?
like, what kind of stuff were you like locking? What kind of work were you locking in from that Bali video?
Well, to get out there, like I couldn't even afford the flight, so I met one of my friends, Justin Kaufman, off Instagram, and I'm like, yeah, like how? He's like, oh yeah, man, like just get a brand to pay for it. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, like you can. We went out there with like a group of people, but like these 2 girls that were going with us, we had just pitched like women's swimwear brands and jewelry brands, and basically just to like fund the flight out there, and then like while we're there, we're just like shooting photos and getting content of them. So it was kind of just an exchange for a flight, but I wasn't making any money at that time.
And then you just moved to LA right after that?
Yeah. Like when I came back from there, and they were new to my life then, but my friends Jess and Alec had hit me up just randomly on an Instagram DM, and they were like, oh, we're doing this social media tour. Like we're looking for a photographer and a videographer for it. And you look cool. And I was like, social media tour, like what the fuck is that? And I had no idea, but it was like all these influencers basically just doing meet and greets and everything. So I had no idea. They flew me out to LA. I did this whole like social media tour for about a month, and then after that I was kind of just at my friend Charles's house out in LA, and he's like, yeah man, like you should live here. I'm like, all right, like say less, I'll bring my shit down. So yeah, it just kind of unfolded in my hands.
And it seems like you shot influencers for a minute, huh?
Yeah, quite a while.
How did you navigate that? Like after you did the tour with them, they were kind of just like, yo, we gotta like do brand deals and stuff and just doing all that kind of content.
Yeah, I was doing, it went from like the Bang videos. I did Bang videos, like all sorts of like ad and endorsements for them. I shot a bunch of YouTube videos, was editing all sorts of YouTube stuff for like Bryce Hall and my buddy Joey Burlam, Charles Gitnick, like just a bunch of influencers that were doing their thing. And I would just like really add my sauce to everything, like whatever they wanted to do, like I would add my shit on top of that, and make it cool somehow, because I didn't want to just like do something that's completely someone else's shit and like I have no creative freedom. So I kind of just, anyone I worked with, I feel like they knew that they're like, oh yeah, Sam's over there filming a leaf in a bush, like let him do his thing, like
it'll be sick. It'll be sick.
Yeah.
You were saying that like they hit you up and they were like, yo, you look like a cool dude, like come shoot for us. How important is it when you're working with like an influencer or an artist of sorts of like just being a cool person, like chill to be around? I'm sure like Kels is wants a certain type of person around him. Like, can you talk about personality meshing with certain clients and like how much that plays a part into kind of like getting work out here in LA and just like in the industry?
I would say I'm like a pretty relaxed guy, but a lot of people I meet in the industry are like very hands-on and like very crazy about what they do. A lot of people call me like the Buddha of like, I don't know, when I'm editing at the studio and like everything's going to shit, I'm just like, hey man, like let's find a solution. Like that's all we can do. Like, but yeah, I would say like just, I don't know, certain traits and like being in this field and working with artists, like you have to be trustworthy and just like, you know, not being a piece of shit. So like just be loyal to your people. And you know, I feel like once you put that energy out there, like people reciprocate it, and it's all about being comfortable on camera, you know? So like if you feel like I'm about to like just up and post some ugly ass photo of you on the internet, then you would probably be like suspect and scared of any photo I take of you, you know? So it's really like making the people you shoot comfortable. That's
a really interesting point, because when you're shooting a doc, right, like you got a lot of very intimate moments. So like talk to me about how when you first met Kels and like how long it took you to kind of form that relationship to the point where he's allowing you to film like some pretty gnarly stuff.
Yeah. That's funny actually, because when I met him, I was probably like 19 or 20 years old. It was right before his Hotel Diablo tour, like 3-4 years ago. But I hadn't met him. A buddy of mine named Ishan had met his management at like an event, and he had just like been like, oh, you're MGK's manager? Like, oh, I got this cool dude like Sam Cahill, he's good at video shit, like check him out. Like a week later they hit me up like, yo, you want to come on tour with us? And I hadn't met any of them, and I was just like, yeah, like sounds cool, like I'll go try it out. And they flew me out to Cleveland, and I was at like a Motel 6 or something, like just meeting up with where the tour buses were. And I went to this room for a little bit. Dre texts me like, oh, yo, Kels, you should come out to the bus, like they're ready to see you. And I walk onto the bus, and it's like just the band, Rook, Slim, Baze, everybody, Kels, and I pull up on there, and they don't even like pay me a lick of attention. And Dre's like, oh, like, yeah, this is the guy, he's gonna be on here like for the whole tour. And they all look up, they're like, man, who is this motherfucker? Like, and I'm like, what's up, bro? Like, but I think he told me, he was like, hey man, like give me your elevator pitch. And I just, you know, I was like, yo, I'm Sam, like shit. Told him a couple things about me, showed him a couple videos, and he's like, all right, like, yeah, this shit looks cool. Like, honestly, I don't know what I want to shoot right now. Like, you're just going to have to kind of do your thing and, like, shoot around me. Like, show me shit. Like, just make it happen. And I was like, cool with me, bro. So, for the first week, like, I didn't really know what was going on. But, like, they didn't, you know, like, we weren't necessarily friends or anything. But I kind of just, like, you know, kept trying and, like, shooting all the crazy shit I could. And I was just, like, head down trying to, you know, impress him, impress myself, like just make cool shit. And he ended up liking the stuff, and we kind of just established a friendship from the jump, like vibing with each other, and me and the band and everybody, we all everyone's like good at their own thing, and I feel like that's what makes us so distinct, and like everyone is good at fucking something, and it's all over the ballpark, bro. Like, I don't know, I'm cameras, computers, and shit like that. Like Slim and Baze are musical masterminds, and Rook just like a master pool player. That motherfucker can bowl like no other, bro. Like he'll put 250 up on a bad day.
Shit, dude.
And Baze is over here cooking up like A5 Wagyu on a tour bus on a plastic fork. I don't know, bro. Like it's crazy.
That's sick. Did you know you were like shooting a doc when you started? You were just like getting stuff.
I had no idea, but one thing Kels did tell me is like when I started showing him footage, he was like, bro, this doesn't look like YouTube shit. Like this looks like a documentary. And that was like right when I met him. But we never like envisioned to make Life in Pink from the jump.
What were you using to shoot?
Majority of the time I was shooting on a Canon 1DX Mark II and a bunch of like Canon glass, the Ronin S stabilizer. I had a Blackmagic 6K rig that somebody fucked this person too, but somebody stole it off the stage in Spokane, Washington.
No.
And it's like rigged out with probably like $18,000-$20,000 worth of stuff on it. But it was like right on the, like right next to the guitar setup spot. Like it's just sitting there, and I run around the concert, like film some stuff on the Ronin. I come back, like swap out cameras, and the thing's just gone. And I look around like, yo, anyone see where this shit went? They're like, sorry. And then we ended up checking the security cameras. I could give you, I don't know, it's probably public domain, but I have the security footage of the dude stealing it and like walking out of the fucking venue, and he like stops, goes off into a side room where they like make popcorn and shit, like and he just pisses in the popcorn machine.
No.
Like literally just pees in the popcorn machine and then dips
Oh, this
out.
guy was a psycho.
He was a savage,
Just
bro.
a savage to society. Oh my God.
Savage to
What a
society.
dick, dude.
Did you have your gear? Did you have insurance?
No.
Dude,
Do you have insurance now?
I have insurance now.
Something happened to a guy that you know.
Yeah,
on a shoot?
I was shooting a thing for Genesis, and this guy actually, I had my C70 and he had his, and he fucking came up to me. He's like, "Is that my C70?" I was like, "No, motherfucker, like, this is mine." He's like, "I lost it." I was like, "Well, you have insurance." He's like, "No, I don't." I was like, "Oh, dude." And I was like, "I promise this is mine." Like, it was really stressful. I had to like prove it to him that it was mine. I was like, "Look at this little scratch." Dude. Like,
Look at the
yeah.
sticker that you got on it.
Yeah,
That's
fuck
so
that,
funny. So you just are really filming any and everything for, you said 3 years. That's how long this took.
Yeah.
So when was the moment where Kels came to you and goes, "Hey, we're going to make this a doc"?
Yeah, when was it the
when,
transition?
what was this cross section? You're like, okay, like this, okay, yeah, we're just going to make a documentary out of all this stuff.
Also another funny story, but it was like I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks into this tour, and he was just like, I would make these video edits and he just wasn't liking them. He's like, "Oh man, like we need to try something else." And like
video recaps of like shows and
yeah,
stuff.
I was doing like recap videos, and he's like, "Man, this isn't the vibe, let's shoot for something new." So I'm sitting here like for a couple of weeks trying to come up with some shit in my head, and at the end of like 3 weeks later, I'm like, "Hey man, like let me just make you this 1 minute banger, just like a you're the shit kind of thing, like all these audio bites saying how you've changed music, and just really lay out what he's doing and shit in a minute." And I did that. I edited this piece like one day. It took me like 15 hours or something. Showed it to him the next day on the studio bus, and he's like, "That's it. That's the intro to the documentary." And I'm like, "Documentary?" He's like, "Fuck yeah, bro. That shit's hard as fuck." I'm like, "All right, let's do it." So that's how it started. But
And this is just, when was this on the span of the 3 years? Is it the end of the tour? Like, or you have a few arenas left?
that was probably like mid Tickets to My Downfall tour.
Okay.
Like 2 years ago, I think.
So you're on the road. Are you just starting to come up with all these ideas of like, holy shit, I got to interview this person when we get
Right.
back home? Like, what is that kind of process like? Because a lot of the people listening to this are going to really want to hear about, the nitty gritty details of like everything that you did with such a beautiful piece.
Yeah.
Because it's just not just like it's such a specific doc, because you have such fire editing skills. It's like you weave together this beautiful story. I see a Sam Cahill edit, I'm like, yes. And then you get back into story, and it's like it just flows so well,
It was cool because like out of the minute that I edited, like there were specific things that he's like, "That's hard as fuck, like that's dope." Like, and in my head I'm like, okay, like I need to shoot more stuff like that. And a lot of it's like we love to just keep things very raw and uncut, so like a lot of it's just like questions I'll ask fans and stuff, and I'm not standing there with a huge cinema camera, like sometimes I'm just handheld on a little Canon R5, and I feel like whoever I'm talking to, is back to like the comfortability thing. They just feel more comfortable talking to me because it's like not some big time budget shit, but I still got the sound on fleek. I got everything looks cool. But yeah, and I'd really just like reference myself to being a fly on the wall a lot of the times, and like you don't have to be necessarily doing some crazy gimbal move in the room at all times. Like a lot of the stuff that unfolds in front of my eyes is just like his fucking just him changing the game. So it's like we talk about Lil Wayne a lot and how he changed the game, and like back to the Carter documentaries, and you're just like watching him in a hotel room, like even seeing him pick up, like people dissect Lil Wayne and they like, how does this motherfucker write his lyrics? Like, what does he do? What's it like being with Lil Wayne in the studio? So you're watching this person and you're like, oh, he picked up his pencil. Oh my God, he's writing music. Like, so it's just stuff like that. Like it's, I don't know. I'm very big on details and paying attention to details. And I feel like it kind of gets portrayed into the videos a little bit, but it's really just like being there in the moment. So a lot of moments were in that film.
Yeah, totally. And also like, speaking of the 1 minute intro, I watched, I was like, damn, this is a fire intro to this. And then I see directed by Sam Cahill, and I like was like, damn, I kind of got goosebumps. Like, it's not even me. Like, I know you. I'm like, that's fucking wild. Was that crazy? Like, at the premiere, you got to...
We didn't even go to the premiere.
Oh, really?
Oh, we went to the premiere, but we skipped the movie. Like, we pulled up after it hit screen.
Oh,
so,
shit.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask, like, was that a wild feeling, like, being in a theater, like, seeing your name up on the screen? But
I'm not going to lie. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah. As it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was dope. And for a while, it honestly just felt like, because it came out while we were on tour, so it was in the, you know, just the mix of him doing all these sold out arena shows, and it's like every night is just fucking crazy, and it's like I never got to stop working, so I never really like got a chance to appreciate it. And I don't think I even watched it on Hulu until like 2 months after the tour ended. I was like, all right, like I'll watch my shit now. Like, I'd already seen it thousands of times, you know, editing, but.
So is he giving, like, would you edit like 5 minutes of it and be like, I like where this is at, Kels, take a peek at this, or like kind of what was that process going back and forth with him? Because you said he's really hands-on with the creative.
Yeah, I like to have like at least a good clump of stuff to show him, like a couple minutes of shit at least, or like a new scene or something like that. But yeah, like I'll show him stuff and he'll always have notes and like creative stuff that makes it better, and it like makes his creativeness, it's, you know, with any creative, like it's good to just have someone to kind of bounce your ideas off, and like he helps shape the story himself a lot as well. So it's cool working with him. He'll be like, oh, I think this shit would be dope, or like you should get a shot like this, or like maybe try to film from farther away next time or something. Like, so yeah,
That's sick.
I like that. We just did a podcast about like red flags from clients, and we were saying like the clients that just give you like negative feedback, telling you like, I don't like that, but they don't ever tell you like, oh, I do like this. And you saying how he would be like, oh, I like this part. You're like, oh, I got to shoot more stuff like that. I feel like it's so great when you can have a person that you're working with that knows kind of what they want. They might not be able to like tell you specifics on like how to use a camera, whatever it may be, but they're like, I know I want it to look like this, or like do more of that. I think that's super helpful.
Yeah, it helps me a lot. I mean, like he's the one that's on the big Netflix movies doing Bird Box and The Dirt and all this kind of stuff. So like he's seen way bigger budget movie sets and like just everything than I have. So I'm grateful because he kind of like shines a light onto me from those big sets, and he's like, yo man, like I saw them doing this and that, like you should rock like this. And he rewires my brain a lot, and like I feel like anyone, like no matter who you're shooting with, no matter how big you get, like never just develop an ego, and like you can always keep learning no matter what it is you're doing. So like I'm always just an open book. Like I just like to listen and fucking learn shit all the time.
That's amazing.
So important.
Love that, dude. Are you an editing kind of during the day kind of guy, or are you at night? Because we call that sketch boy hours here. This is the hat. Like when we cook up at
That's
night.
tough.
Yeah, we'll get you a hat. We'll send you one. But what do you prefer?
Honestly, I'm more of a nighttime dude, but I'll edit any time of day.
Okay.
I kind of hate the mornings though, to be honest.
Same.
But if it's gotta happen,
I don't feel creative during the morning.
I think I'm the only creative that likes, I'm a morning guy.
Really?
Like as soon as that sun goes down, I'm like, yeah, I'm tapped out for work for the day.
I'm the opposite.
Yeah, I'm like, we're gonna hop in the cave in like 30 minutes and get after it tonight. That's funny. When we get back home for this new doc that you currently were just on the road for, you've said your process has shifted just a little bit. Do you know now, like, do you have the different storylines on a board somewhere, or is it just all up in your head, or is it on a notes app on your phone? What is that kind of like for round two?
I wish I could tell you, but I gotta keep it on hush. It's on ice.
That's good though. That means we're doing something right. So when you were editing it while you're shooting it like the whole time while on tour, basically, or was it there like a dedicated like I'm gonna edit my ass off for a month?
Yeah. Another crazy story, but like when I went on the Tickets tour, I think it was a 2017 MacBook Pro, but that shit was fried. I could barely edit photos in Lightroom on that thing. Like it would just geek out and shut down. If it wasn't plugged into a charger while I was working on it, it would just shut off.
Apple finally figured it out with like the new M1 chips, because like before it was such a struggle to edit photos or edit videos.
Terrible.
But so the whole beginning of the documentary was cut in a studio bus. He had this studio bus that had 2 bays. It was like a desktop setup in the front of this tour bus, and speakers everywhere. It's got all this crazy shit going on. And then there was another bay, which was like the music bay, where they would record vocals and all his music stuff like throughout the tour. It was in the back room. So like when they gave me the tour of the bus, I'm like, what the fuck is the front room for? And he's like, oh, this is all like video suited shit. And I'd hop on, and all their Premiere was, I think it was like 2017 version of Premiere. It was like 2021. I'm like, dog, like, let's
Update
y'all
that
are
shit, dude.
crazy for this. So I signed in my Adobe Cloud, whatever, and download it all.
So you're just editing like on a bus like the whole time?
Yeah.
That's great. I would get so motion sick, dude. I couldn't do it.
Well, a lot of
That's
times you're like it would be like after the show, like everyone's kind of getting showered, changed or whatever. Like I'll just go out to the studio bus and get straight to it. So
the bus is just like your home. Like that's like, do you feel like comfortable like after show, like, oh, like I'm back in my little comfort zone, like in the
like
bus?
off a tour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting, dude.
What kind of advice would you give someone that's looking to maybe make a documentary about a musician? It's just a piece of advice you kind of learned from this whole experience.
I would say overshoot everything. And I'm like, it's a pro and a con, but it's more so a pro because at least when you're editing, like, you know, I shoot as much as I do edit, and it kind of goes like I shoot for 3 months and then I edit for 6 months. So it's like when I'm editing, I'm like, fuck, I wish I would have shot this, or I wish I would have a clip of this. So like, that's why I'm over here filming all these leaves in the corner, like some shit in the middle of the room, just like, because I'm one camera and I look to like shoot everything as a scene without cutting, like hard cutting, and make it that YouTube-y jump cut look. So I'm really looking for other stuff like people's reactions, and I'll like sneak little shots of people that I can kind of just throw in the mix. And it's really just like making the audio sound good, and like it's one take, and it looks like there's 5 cameras in the room when it's just me.
Wow.
So I would say overshoot. Like for post, like I'm always looking back, you just need the maximum amount of footage, honestly. So.
And you do both photo video?
Yeah.
Because I do that as well, but I feel like you're on just like a different level. Like I definitely don't have enough footage to make a documentary. Like, how do you choose when to shoot photos versus video? Are you dual wielding? Like, do you have a camera specifically for photo, specifically for video?
Yeah. Working with him, it's more so video that I'm focused on all the time, but like he also wants photos, and like I take those all the time. It depends though. Like I end up bringing like 2-3 cameras all over the place, but sometimes I'll forget one. And the one time I forget one, he'll be like, "Oh, you got a flash on your camera?" And I'm just sitting there with a microphone on top of my shit. I'm like, "Fuck." But so yeah, I usually bring 2 cameras, one with the flash on top, and the other one set up for video. Occasional VHS camera for the vibes.
Nice.
And do you have like on tour and stuff doing shows? Do you have like a set amount of deliverables that you have to turn around to him like on a nightly basis, or like how does that work? If you're mainly video and like he comes to you and said, "Hey, we're doing this doc," are you kind of like, "Let me shoot a bunch of stuff, I'll get some photos to you," or whatever? Is he looking for mini video edits, or is he just like, "Yo, Sam's doing this doc, let him do his thing"?
Yeah. He doesn't, I mean, there's deliverables that they'll give me, but I kind of just set my own for myself. So like every day, like photos, I feel like photography is kind of dead to me. I'm not throwing no hate at nobody, but it's just something that when I shoot photos, like I can have all of them done the next day, like in that morning. That's what I can do in the morning, is edit photos. So I usually spend my morning or my night like editing all the photos I took that day, so I have something to send off like ASAP the next morning. So if they want to post them around, they can. But the video shit, really when we're on tour, it's like we could be in Boston or we could be in like Louisville, Kentucky, and he's like, "Oh, I want this." It's like 15 minutes, 20 minutes before showtime, like when he walks out on stage, and he's like, "I need this fucking video. Sam, like somehow get this video like on the screen. Go talk to Pedro. Like we need to get this hardwired into the system and shit." And so I'll have to edit a video like on Premiere, cut this thing up, whether it be like a message from somebody from the city we're in, and basically make this like intro video, deliver it to the person running the video board, and then get it up on the screens like within 10 minutes.
Know your keyboard shortcuts, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
My God.
That's so cool though, because then it just plays, and it's probably cool because it's like personalized for that city and shit. Like that definitely makes probably like a better experience. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, what an asset you are, my friend.
Yeah,
Jesus
you
Christ.
just roll with the punches. You're like, all right, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
Do you worry that you'll get like burnt out like life on the road, touring all the time?
Anyone can burn out on anything, you know. It's
Right.
just like if you enjoy doing it in the time. So I'd say like I'm not the best at this, but just be present and understand where you're at and everything, and
Right.
enjoy the moment. So because if you don't, then that's where you get bummed out and burnt out, and you're like, "Man, I don't want to fucking edit this no more." It's like people would kill to have this job, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's just you gotta have respect for yourself, have respect for other people, and just the position you're in, you can always do
Hell
more.
yeah.
So
Is there someone, like, you're obviously with MGK, you're doing his stuff. Is there someone that you haven't shot that you would love to shoot?
I'm sure there is. I couldn't think of one. Like, I'm not big on shooting people. Like, I kind of, at this point in my life, I just want to tell cool stories and like, you know, help out my friends and just make cool art. Like, anyone that rocks with me, and like, I don't know, sometimes I'll spontaneously just get like a crazy idea for a 1-minute video, or like I'll want to shoot a fucking L'Oreal looking ad. It's just like my mind kind of comes and goes, and I'm a very like everything kind of person, so my brain's all over the place. But I don't know, I forget what your question
No, I
was.
think that's cool that you're not like
that
pigeonholing yourself to be like, I'm just doing concert stuff. It's like you have the desire to shoot other stuff. And I also think that helps with burnout, because if you're just doing concert stuff all the time, kind of shooting the same shows, even though they're like so crazy, I'm sure you're like still trying to find different ways to shoot that. But finding time to shoot other types of videos or doing other photo stuff, whatever it may be, I think that helps you kind of like stay refreshed and be like, feel like rejuvenated again.
Yeah. And I'm kind of like, I want to take a step into like producing feature films, like movies. So me and my girlfriend were fucking around. We got like final drafts. So we've been like writing scripts for short films. And it's just cool because like a lot of the people I'm around at the studio is like, oh, Sam, like, what are you doing after all this documentary shit? And I'm like, I want to tell my own story. Like, I got a lot of cool ideas. So I'm really kind of hopping into script writing and, you know, jumping into the frameworks of building my own movie, and, you know, kind of just building a friend group of when that point does come, then I have the whole production ready to rip. But to answer your question, you just asked me if I wanted to work with anybody, it would be Hans Zimmer.
Sick.
For sure.
That's because I wanted to ask, like, did you score this film, or how did the music come into play?
Temp score, I would say. I have subscriptions to all these sound catalogs, like I'm sure you guys are aware, but I would just like go find like my downloads are crazy. Like I'll just download anything that sounds dope, and I have it in this big folder, and I'll import all my VFX, all my sound effects when I'm editing and post. And I'm really just like, I'll double click and listen to one thing for like, bro, a millisecond. And if it doesn't like resonate, that sound doesn't resonate with me, I'm like, fuck it, next. I have to find the perfect sound. So like I built the whole score of the film and did it all the way through, like sound effects, sound design, everything. I'll mute the audio, like if there's a music track playing in the background, mute that and like make the door closing sound, like swooshing by, like whatever the fuck it is. Right. What I didn't know about the documentary process is everything needed clearance at the end. So everything you downloaded, you had to like source that. Otherwise you'll get like sued. So like everything I used to score the film ended up being like, it would have gotten copyrighted. So we had to find a really talented person to recreate all the sounds that I had chosen.
No way.
Like so the whole score got reproduced.
Wow.
Like even like the whoosh sound,
whoosh
from,
sound,
from YouTube that you ripped and shit. It's like,
wow. That is so interesting. That's crazy.
That was crazy. That was one of the craziest parts about the whole process, was the clearance shit. Like I was blown away.
Because like once it went by like his team, right, and you're like, I'm good, and then you get hit with like their
Lawyers.
label. They're like, actually, we have this question.
Kels likes it. It's great.
Oh my god. So was there a point where you're like, we're done, and then you had like 5 more people that had to like take a peek at it and give like?
It was like 45. I think we had
God.
Like the Zoom calls I'll be on. I was terrified. I'm so shy, man. Like even being in front of the cameras, I'm like, it's weird for me. So when I'm on a Zoom call with like 45, 50 people from Interscope, and they're all asking me questions like, where are we at with the film? What are we doing with this? What's up with that? And I'm like, I felt like I was on a whole stage. I'm like, God damn, this is crazy. Like, but they're all here to help me, you know? So but it was just like a whole beast I wasn't accustomed to. So it was it was cool to get to see that. And it's a must for what I do, you know?
Man, that's so cool.
When you hit export for like the final version, was that just like the biggest relief? Like take a deep breath, like, man, I did that. And then you didn't even like really watch it back until like 2 months after it came out.
And that was kind of crazy because I mean, we hit export for the final time probably 12 times. Like that project just kept getting extended for a good purpose. And I'm glad it happened that way. But it was a lot of like, oh, we're done. And then it's like, oh, we gotta change 400 more things, and I'm like, fuck.
Final V12.
Yeah, but I finished the documentary like 2 days before I went on another tour, so I really only
sick.
I got no, because I moved out of my house. I finished the movie. I had to go on tour in 2 days for 4 months, and I couldn't afford to live at the place that I was living at anymore, so I had to move all my shit out in a day, put it in a storage unit, just be homeless on tour for however the fuck long, that like 8 months out of the year. Had no address to ship shit to. Like, I just moved out. I'm like, see ya. Went on tour, and then like the movie came out and shit. It was just like crazy, bro. Like,
Shit, wow.
so I really had no time to myself. Like, I really just got off the other tour, continuously editing the shit I'd already been working on, up until the point where I was like, my body was failing and everything. Like, I was losing. I would not sleep for like 3-4 days at a time, and my shit would just fail. Like,
Wow, dude.
and then mainstream sellout tour. It was like the night before the first show. We were in Austin, Texas. It was like 106 degrees or something crazy, and I hadn't slept for like 3 days. Didn't eat food all day. Didn't drink water, and I went out with Dub, one of my boys, and like we were just grabbing a bite after a rehearsal, and we were walking back to the hotel, and like my body, I got this crazy tunnel vision and just like fell straight on my face and like busted my chin open. Bro, rocked my shit. I had like a concussion and everything. I fucking cracked a rib, and my shit right here was like yellow and purple and black for 2 weeks. And then the first 2-3 weeks of that tour, I could like, by the time I got to the after parties, like after the shows and everything, I could barely breathe, and I was just like in the corner, like with the camera. Dude. So it was crazy, like just that whole thing. Like I'm proud of that project, but it was definitely like a crazy chapter of my life. So.
Yeah, a piece of you is literally in this project.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Half a rib.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you sit down and you finally watch it. Are you, because I think as creatives, we're always struggling with like being proud of ourselves and being like, okay, this is good, but what's next? Like, we finished this, right? I mean, that's such a gnarly piece of work, and it's so well done. Are you able to watch that and be like, damn, like I really did that. I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, it was crazy because I think I watched it like 3 months after I'd finished it. So like I wasn't entirely disconnected from it at that time, but I'd forgotten a lot of this, like, because there was so many new things. Like I told you, we finished it 12 times. So I'm like, oh shit, I forgot we added this in there. And like, it was cool to watch, man. And it was like, to see it on Hulu or whatever for me was really cool. And the first time I watched it on there, it was like, you know, when I was all by myself, just like click play and my name comes up and everything. I was like, you know, that's dope. Because up until that point, it just felt like it was out on YouTube type shit. Like I was used to it the entire time. So
were you nervous watching it, like that you like fucked up, like didn't bring an adjustment layer all the way over or something?
Yeah,
because like I would feel like, dude, every time I like, even like a big thing, I like see it on like Hyundai's Instagram, and I'm like, oh yeah, fucked up that little thing.
Or this happened to me the other day. I was editing like a GIF, and I made one that was like horizontal, and then I had an adjustment layer, and then I made one that was like TikTok style.
Oh, and you didn't
vertical.
Scale the
and so
adjustment.
so then I copied and pasted the adjustment layer, but I didn't expand it, and I exported it, and I was like, why is there like a square that's like more contrast here, whatever? And I was like, oh fuck, I fucked up the adjustment layer. So like, were you like watching it back in the edit, making sure like all those finite details were perfected?
And a lot of it's like, it was crazy because like I said, I edited that in my bedroom for a while, migrated to the dinner table, and then Interscope was the group that backed it and like put the budget behind the studio and everything. And then once it got to that point, there were so many people working behind me, and like I had all these AEs that were, you know, I would pass my project off to, and it was my buddy Anthony's job to like stitch stuff together. But it would, like, when you're moving that many files, like the film was broken into 5 reels. So like 5 sections made up the entire project. So all your eggs aren't in one basket pretty much. Like if your project corrupted, it would be the first 40 minutes of it instead of the whole fucking thing. But it's a lot of layers to move, and like if you fuck up one little click, like it'll fuck the whole thing up. So, you know, there was a few hiccups, and we're watching it back and we're like, oh, like what you said, like an adjustment layer is not brought over, like audio drops out. Like it was a lot of weird, tedious little things like that would be annoying, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna music.
Especially when it's that long. Each
Yeah.
export probably takes forever to export, and then you
Yeah.
gotta watch it, and you're like, because I don't even watch back my edit when it's like a minute long. You know, I just like send it off. Yeah. Because I don't got time for that. But when it's an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, like, fuck. Dude.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But you're like Buddha Sam, you're like everything's gonna be
Everything's gonna be good. That's-
46 minutes in, a little adjustment there, miss. But
You link up with MGK at, you said 19 or 20?
Yeah.
You're now what, 24, 25?
Just turned 25.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
It was a couple months ago, a few months ago.
Happy birthday.
Happy
we
birthday.
like to do that.
Or
on the
happy
show.
early birthday. Have you been able to see your progression as a tour or concert photographer, videographer, filmmaker? Like, is it cool to look back on your old stuff, and is there, something that you've learned along the way that, like, maybe had you known at the beginning, it would have improved your work? Or at least for me personally, I feel like so much of it is like a feeling. It's almost you just learn how to shoot, and you can't really describe it to someone. It's kind of like you just learn by doing. Is that how you feel?
Yeah. I'm a strong advocate for that. I don't think you need to go to school to learn this. Like, you can learn all the stuff we do off YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I call it YouTube University.
yeah.
Like, I'm on that shit all the time. But yeah, I would say, like, with YouTube, like with just consuming social media nowadays, like, you can adapt to trends that are going on, or kind of, grab an idea off of somebody else, not to copy them, but like alter things, and like everything's evolving, like the AI audio you were talking to me about earlier is crazy.
Yeah.
But just being around, like, a group of people, like, he has a specific way he wants to be shot, and like, I don't try to invade on his privacy all the time, but I am the one person that, he trusts to shoot a bunch of shit. And I mean, I've definitely progressed, yes, but like I said, like, you can always, it's like a never ending story of, you can never stop learning. So even from him, like, I'm always learning from him all the time. But watching YouTube videos and tutorials, like, if I want to learn something new, like, that's how I'll kind of rock out. Or if I'm fucking around with my camera and I do some weird shit and it turns into a cool transition, like, I'll kind of say I was like dropping the camera from top to bottom, and I wanted it to sweep along this table right here. Like, I'll do that in a few different cities and get all these different, like, landscape backdrops. So stuff like that. It's really just like, I don't know, having an awareness for what you're going to do with it in post. And at least for what I'm doing right now, like, I have a lot of leeway because it's more longer form stuff. So I can kind of like just do a bunch of shit and like all have it fall under one sun.
Totally. You said just now that, like, you're the one person he feels most comfortable with to film stuff. Like, how much footage didn't make it into the documentary? And was there ever a time when you were filming that he was like, yo, Sam, like, cut the cameras?
I had a whole other movie. Like, we probably cut about another hour and a half worth of movie out of Life in Pink.
Wow.
But some of it, like, he's very vulnerable, and I feel like the world appreciates him for that. And a lot of people aren't able to be vulnerable, and he's like very open with how he's feeling in his music and just his whole life. And at least just watching him, it's like celebrities are on such a pedestal, and it's like the cameras are always on you. So like, even if I don't know, I'm filming, it's my job to film him, but at the same time, I want to like respect him as a human being, and like not film him eating this fucking noodle soup right in front of me, and I'm gonna be like, bro, like, I'm eating, bro, like, let me eat my fucking noodle soup. Like, there's some things you just don't film, but to answer your question, like, we did cut some stuff out of the movie, and a lot of it was like, the guys are just really funny and shit. So like, a lot of it was kind of jackass like scenes and just stuff that was like, it's all solid shit. But to tell the story about him that I wanted to tell, like, we just had to, it's called Murdering Your Darling. So we had to murder all the darlings.
You have a director's cut? It's like a 3 hour
Yeah,
long.
it's like
right?
I don't think we do, but
maybe that's next.
yeah,
Maybe.
just for the personal archive.
YouTube, it could be on YouTube soon. Who knows?
That's so funny.
Do you have any advice for your 18-year-old self, if you could talk to Sam, who is kind of just starting out on his journey of like getting started on this whole thing, like probably doesn't know what's about to unfold besides backing up all the footage?
Yeah, make your copies. Shit, I don't know, man. Like, I've always been like quite relaxed and stuff, and with working with people just in the creative field, like, you got to be able to take criticism from other people. And I would just probably tell myself to have you know, a solid head, a straight head on my shoulders, and don't let some things get you too upset. Don't make any emotional decisions, and, you know, just keep rocking. Like, have a goal and just keep rocking towards it, because no matter who you are, like, if you truly do, like, keep your head down and you want something and you are working to go and get it, like, it's gonna happen for you. So
I love
I
that.
like that.
Hell
I
yeah.
love that. Where can the people find you on social?
just at Sam Cahill on whatever.
There
Oh,
it
yeah.
is.
Check the boy out.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the 505 podcast. Make sure to drop a comment, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you guys all next week. Peace.
Bye.